Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Callie for all your top tips on relationship, mindset, and also lifestyle imbalances. Now, today we're going to be talking about anxiety behaviors, and do you feel like you have them and is it stopping you from moving forward? Now, by the end of this video, you'll be able to identify if you have anxiety and what to do about them, right? Now, I have helped multiple people and go through this process to actually decrease the anxiety problems or issues that really stopping them from moving forward. So now I'm here to tell you all about it so you can get them too. So let's dive right into it. So the tip number one is about nervousness and anxiety, right? So there's actually different. These two can be quite similar, but there's actually a difference between the two. Nervousness is actually quite a normal response with the body, especially when you're feeling something new that's happening or an activity that you're doing that you're quite unsure of, or it's going to bring on an adrenaline rush. And this is often associated with a task or an activity that you are about to do, right? So for example, going on stage to have a public speaking, you feel this nervousness that, oh my God, I'm going up, right? You feel this rush of adrenaline and everything pumping through you. And even tasks like bungee jumping or skydiving or even doing a task you haven't done before, you can get very nervous. On the other hand, anxiety doesn't quite have to be related to anything specific, right? It doesn't have to be related to a task, doesn't have to be related to an activity that you're going to do. It's pretty much overall nervousness, and pretty much at times, it's almost a feeling that you feel inside about what will potentially happen, right? That can cause your anxiety to occur. This leads me to the next tip. And the next tip is about behaviors. So what are some of the behaviors that actually occur when you have anxiety, right? So anxiety often happens because you're thinking about something that something might happen, and this brings on a physical, psychological response. So you can get palpitations, you can start sweating, you can get headaches, you get dizzy, you can start to vomit, you can feel your body shaking, like depending on your situation or how severe this anxiety is. You can have either one or two of these occurrences happening, or you can actually have them all at once. And these are some of the behaviors. If you feel like you have some of these behaviors, it is actually good to actually identify them and in certain situations, or when do you actually have this type of anxiety. And this can happen and trigger whenever, and whenever you have that thought or you feel like this event is going to happen, that's when these behaviors will happen and your body will actually respond to that thought that you have in your head. So this leads me to the next tip. Now this tip is actually talking about the different types of actual anxiety, right? Now the first one is general anxiety. So this is about just worrying about everything, like worrying about what would happen if I do this, worrying, oh, what if the bank closes, and worrying about money, worrying about relationships, worrying and worrying and worrying. And it's almost, there's no particular reason why you should be worrying, but yet at this time you're still worrying about something and everything, right? And this is called a generalized anxiety. The next one is social anxiety. So pretty much when you are in a social environment, so in front of people, when it's in a public area, when there's a lot of people around, you don't know, especially with your friends or a group of people that you don't know, that you can get to a point where you don't want to say anything, or you're too anxious to say something wrong, or you don't know the outcome, or what would happen if I say this, and you avoid actually doing certain things because you feel so anxious, the outcome, and especially in public areas. So the next one is actually panic attacks, right? So panic attack is when all the behaviors that I mentioned above all comes in at once, and you feel the shakiness, you feel the sweatiness, you feel everything almost like your world is closing in. And it can almost feel like a heart attack at times for some people. And it's the thought of the unknown that you feel so unsafe that you start panicking and you get a panic attack. And this can happen if it happens to you more than 4 times a month for an attack that goes for a very long period of time. then it can be classed as a disorder, a panic disorder, and it's a reoccurrence, and that should be getting attention and get professional help to help you through these processes. And of course, there's all these other different types as well. There's like, OCD, which is your obsessive compulsive disorder, or about like you're making sure everything's all clean. And there's also post-traumatic syndrome as well that causes anxiety after a certain event. So there's actually quite a lot of reasons for a person to actually feel anxious after a certain event or certain thing, or worry about something. So this leads me to the next tip. So what is the actual cause, right? What is the actual cause of this, and why do people get like this, and how do people get like the way they do? And it's often happens because of the past experience that you had, and most likely a negative impact in your life, that it almost for you to instead of taking that as a learning, instead of taking that as an understanding, it's been taken as an experience and put into your current life, right? So now when you actually think about the future, the same response happens, and it's almost like a feeling that this same incident will occur again. So hence, especially if you had a really traumatic event, that feeling will cause your heart to create this physical reaction in your body, because you thought of you're thinking about it, even though it's from a past experience. And it may or may not actually, the high chance that it may not happen the same way as before, or it's actually not going to happen. It's probably a good event, but your thought process that as a threat, or revisits that as a hazard, and you create a psychological response, creating all these behaviors happening in you, and you become anxious. So after listening to all the tips above, comment below if you feel like I've hit the spot with a certain topic that I'm talking about, so I can talk to you about more about this topic and really help you through certain times, or guide you through a certain process. Now the next tip is about, so what can you do about them, right? So some techniques that a lot of people get, the clients to do, is actually to quiet the mind. And meditation really helps. It's almost it's a coping mechanism that you can use to help you through certain situations. And sometimes it can be a 5 to 10 minute meditation, or it can be a 20 to 30 minutes meditation. And these meditations can really help you calm your mind down, so you can think clear and be in a better headspace, so you can make better decisions. And the next one, a lot of therapists or a lot of coaches use, it's about being rational about what is happening, and is it really happening in your world. And this is the point where you actually say, okay, rationalizing yourself, is this is it appropriate to feel like this? Is it in the right time? Is it really going to happen the way I'm going to think that's going to happen? Is that the real outcome? And the truth is really talking yourself to logic about what is really happening, and really calming yourself down. And most of the time, people tend to remove themselves from the location to prevent a certain emotion or feeling to pop up, or even psychological responses to happen. And the most effective way, which is the next one I'll be talking about, is something I call releasing and clearing of the past. So I have a strong belief on actual, you can remove all the branches and leaves or a tree if you want, but if the root cause of what is really happening in your life is still there, it's going to come back. So after listening to all those tips above, I hoped it have helped you, identify some of the signs that you feel like that you could be having an anxiety attack, or being a bit anxious rather than nervous. And also at this point, I would like to say that, there's help everywhere, there's treatments everywhere, shoot me a message, or even download one of my free happiness guides down below that can help you through certain processes and help you understand what it truly is to feel happiness from the inside, right? And stay tuned with me, because next week I'll be going into phobias. That's right. So do you have a real fear or something, and really want to understand how and why it's really happening? Stay tuned with me, subscribe and notify, because I'll tell you all about it next week. And in the meantime, check out some of my other videos that I have about mindset and relationships that can really get you back on track. And for now, bye for now, and I'll see you guys next week.